Hello everyone, good evening here on Feldy. It's about 7:30 in the evening. Have done a bunch of harvesting off cam, and there's kind of a turning point here, so without continuing the harvest, I wanted to at least show what had been done so far. We'll get to this here in a moment. This is kind of where we left off in the harvest. Actually, if I just pull up the map, I can show you. We've basically harvested everything down here except for the double duckbill field. We haven't harvested the one on the island. We have harvested this one, and this one. And we're in the middle of harvest here. We have enough corn that we've been able to fill the biofuel down here to equalize what we had in there for oilseed rape or canola, and we had enough to fill the BGA. So one of the things we'll be doing in this one is compacting the BGA and perhaps hauling. Here we have a whole extra load of chaff that we could take up here to our cattle. It's just rounding things out here. That's the trailer. Wanted to at least zoom everything out. You know, I made a tiny tweak on this mod. I still don't think it's going to point the spout to the trailer like I was hoping, but I've continued to make some tweaks. Let me see if some of the errors have disappeared. Physics. Oh, it still hasn't. You know, I thought the raycast node one that's right up in here that I would get rid of, but turns out I don't think I did. Alright, well, you win some, you lose some, and some you come back and try again. This is still waiting here to do the windrowing as it overlooks the bay here. I really like the island. Used to be this was just water off the coast here. I don't know, now it feels kind of just a little more homey. So we'll maybe be down there if we have time. Let me get out my fuel tank. I also made a change on this one here, kind of a warning that appears. And maybe I'll just explain it real briefly to us. Whenever you have a vehicle that has functions, for example, the fuel trailer that we put out, there's a trigger that a vehicle drives into in order to receive fuel. Well, anytime you put a trigger on an object when the game closes or when you sell it, you have to remove the trigger. It must be because it's kind of a separate physics object that gets into another system, like maybe in the game engine. I think that's kind of how I conceive of it, although I really don't know for sure. So in other words, you know, if this is going to be disposed of or when the game closes, it's important to remove the trigger. So it's been popping warnings in the log. They're harmless. They really don't show up until you close the game or sell something. So it really isn't that big a deal, but I like trying to drum out all errors if I'm able to. Yeah, it's getting dark in here. We've been trying to pull the cultivator behind all of harvesting equipment, so he's kind of waiting to go, and I'm going to fast forward time here. I don't know if this is the final. Nope, it isn't. I wonder which one is closest to the road. Is there something else I wanted to show too? Here we go. Alright. I am going to see a car coming down over the hill there. Let me turn this on. We are going to fast forward time so we can get into tomorrow, and while it's doing that, I'm going to run up the road. Or try to. slow it down a little bit so I can start things up here at 7. Seems like a decent starting time. Alright, I'm also going to go flying just a little bit. Alright, we've reached 7 o'clock. I want to talk about another little change that I made in here. Specific with having to do with traffic. You'll notice there's one lonely car coming down the road. You'll notice there's one retreating down the road. I see 2 coming there. And oh, here comes our milk truck. You know, as I was working off cam, I saw the milk truck come up, go to the farm, and I think all of it's a facade. I don't think it's actually hauling anything to speak of. Oops. Let me go to the other end. And there's a little bit in the milk truck, but I don't think the milk truck genuinely picks up any milk. I think it just goes there so it has the appearance of it. Anyway, you'll notice there isn't much traffic. And I was kind of talking earlier, wondering if I was going to need to remove the traffic. I hate to do that, you know, with all the time that I spent putting it on, but it kind of is a pain in the neck. Well, come to find out, there really isn't a user attribute that you can put in a map. You know, I was thinking maybe there'd be number of vehicles or some attribute you could use that would limit how many cars, you know, appeared on the road. There is with people. You know, over where we have a script, you know, when people are walking around town, there is a way to specify the number of people that are walking. Not so on the vehicles. And I wanted just to show what I did, just in case someone else ever wants to do this. I've been learning more as I dive into the scripts, and this took a painfully long time to figure out. Let me get over here to, I guess I don't need the map up. But what I will show is in the scripts, this is what took painfully so long to find. It's called the base mission script, and this sets up, I think, the base mission. Every game is going to have one of these. It's part of, it sets up various items in it. You know, you can see some of these attributes in the list, but I finally noticed that it has a little thing in here called traffic density. And so it pulls what it thinks it should be. It's not going to be a nil number. If it is, it's going to give you a value of 1. It's looking at the save game settings for a density amount. Well, I'll bite. There was, let me see over here, is a save game density setting. It just so happens there is a traffic density setting of 1. So I suppose in theory, if you wanted to dramatically increase, double the number of cars, whatever, you could alter the save game file. I mean, or it's an XML file, you know, that's kind of in the same area where the log is. So I think, you know, you could put in a different number and it would bring that in, and, you know, multiply here. Probably ought to be a whole number. So it looked this up. It has a value of 1, and then it says the maximum number of traffic vehicles. So it does have a variable for that. It just isn't in the map. So it takes the value it just looked up, which is 1. Then it multiplies it by a quantity, 12 plus, and then it says get the profile class and multiply it by 4. So then it's like, this is why it's such a wild goose chase. So then it's like, well, what is this? Get profile class. Well, that's a utils function. So when I look up utils, here's this function, get profile class. Well, it points to yet another function, you know, that says look up the profile class index. So we'll go hunt that one down. And here it is. It's looking at your graphics profile. So the higher the profile, it's going to return a higher index number. And I guess it's assuming that the higher the settings, the greater the number of cars that you're going to be able to handle. Now, maybe not, as everybody's observed, it has, harmed my frame rate because I have it on as high as settings as I can get away with. Matter of fact, the settings are so high that at a certain point, I can count on the game crashing. I think it's pushing my computer to the max, and at some point it just gives up and says, we're done. And fortunately, I'm able to, record an episode at least before that point. So I just need to make sure that I hit save periodically. But if you're on the highest settings, it's going to grab, say like a value of 5 if we're very high, and then it's going to return it. It returns it to this other function. Here it's looking it up, it returns a number and calls it index. Now, if it's an index of 1, it's going to leave it as 1. I don't know why they look it up here again, but they do. But if it's more than 1, it's going to return to the function that called this one, the value of the index minus 1. So in other words, if you've got a low profile, an index of 1 or 2, the value is going to be, actually it could be 0. If you've got the crummiest of computers, I guess, this is to prevent it from being lower than 0. It'll come through as 1, so you're going to send forth the value of 0, so there'll be no cars. But if you have high setting, it's going to be 5 minus 1 or 4. So remember, it calls it over here. It's grabbing a number. The highest setting would be 4. And then it multiplies that by 4 again. So I think I'm on the highest possible setting. So mine previously pulled a value of 4 here. Times 4 is 16. 16 and 12, it'd be 28. And this was a value of 1. So at any given time, my roads were stacked, with 28 vehicles. And you could see it. You could see that they were full, that they were practically end to end, particularly when they're spawning every 1,000 milliseconds or every second. So I came along, and as we typically have done in here, just wrote a little script to try to help. And let me see, I put it in the sample mod Lua file, and it's real simple. Remember, we just looked at base mission.new, and so I overwrote it, with a new little script, just a tiny snippet. And so base mission new, replace this with this, or update it with this. So first off, what it does is it's going to grab everything that is in the existing base mission new script. We may see when we come over here, I have a base mission new. Oh yeah, it's up here. So base mission new, so it's going to do all these things. It's recording them in the table called instance, and then when it's done, it returns the instance. What that means is the script is tabulating all this data, and then it sends it returns it to whoever called base mission new. So what we're doing here in our little script is it's calling up everything that is in, that's what the super function is, everything that's in base mission new, and then we're saying we're gonna modify one of the variables just a teeny bit. Whatever it came up with for max number of traffic vehicles, we're just gonna make it equal to 10. And this is something very specific to my computer. Probably on someone else, if they had terrible graphics, this would now force them to run 10 cars and make it even worse. So I'm just trying to reduce it because I have it on high settings and I just don't want that many cars on the road. I suspect that one of the vehicles is going to be the milk truck. So probably this puts 9 cars on the road versus 10. But then once it updates this, then it returns it. It ends the instance along as is now that we've made a modification. And so far as I can tell, it appears to be working. You know, it's actually, as I look in here now, there's no cars. Maybe there's some up here. Oh yeah, there goes our milk truck. There's a car kind of over there that we see heading into town. So anyway, just kind of a little change that I made in the map just to have a little less traffic on the roads. Yeah, there's a car over there. I think that looks just a little more normal. You know, I mean, this road system is just one endless loop, you know, where they're driving kind of around the southern end of the map, and the only other place they periodically go is into town, and they're just driving a loop in there also. So anyway, let me get back down to Earth. Whew. I don't know about you, but whenever I fly in game and then release it, it always makes me feel a little, some butterflies in my stomach. Let me turn this off here, and now we're gonna head out to the field. So we have a full load of chaff, and like I started off, we already have the BGA full. We filled it with everything, and as you can see, the field over here is actually, you know what? I should probably get our cultivator going. Oh shoot. Where am I? Let me just tab ahead real quick. Try to be somewhat efficient. Here he is. Let me make sure he's on BI field detection. Okay. Make sure his course is cleared, and then I'll get him going. That's gonna. All right. Now we'll go back to our vehicle here. Yeah, we're possibly gonna encounter the milk truck coming the other way. You know, we've got some more corn in here to harvest, and then we're gonna hit some barley, I believe we got in here. They're all ripening up. We also have a number of root crops in here. Oh yes, I remember putting them things in the ground. Required an exorbitant amount of seed. So, anywho, we'll get on up the line here. But you may recall, cattle, actually let me check it while I'm just in the middle of it here. Cattle require both grass and chaff. You know, in real life I guess it would be silage. But let's see here in their grass. Do they have it in? Oh shoot, I can't drive and check this. Looks like my bushes in there are going to need to be trimmed again. They're getting overgrown. Manure storage, feeding trough. Okay, so the grass, there's 62,000 liters. So I'm going to be cutting some grass probably at some point in this episode. I just have 8 cattle, but they are hungry and constantly eating. Ah yes, here comes our milk truck. All right, I'm going to detour over here. You know, when I was testing the milk truck, he encountered some of the cows, and what I didn't realize is these cows are hard objects. And he had a dickens of a time getting out of the pasture. Here, I'll just show you real quick. You are not allowed. See, that's I can't run over the cows, so they don't just get out of your way. You can drive through them. I think you maybe can for the people that are walkers, but not so with the cattle. And when they are in the way, it was just kind of humorous to me to see the milk truck having difficulty getting out of there. It was flipping over on its side, and that could be why it takes so much time some of the time just to get out of there. Now, I believe I can take this into the building and I can dump it, but I think I can also dump it in here. And I probably should move my forage harvester. Let me see if it'll let me. You know, it may not let me if there is equipment in there. You know, I thought, there we go. Alright, so I just needed to be far enough back, and here it's letting me put it in here. And I think with the map in-game, that is with the Giants map. Oh yeah, the silage clamp is filling. You know, it calls it silage, but it really isn't silage. I mean, what this is only chaff. In later versions of the game, you know, we would of course be in here, you know, compacting it and turning it into real silage. But the good news is now our cattle have both sources of feed. And in an earlier episode, I think I showed the Lua code behind it, where it demonstrates that you need both grass and the silage, or chaff rather, to get a full, to get the full milk output. So, you know, my money problems have been over for some time, but this is going to just generate even more money for us, you know, in here with the 8 cows that we have. So, more corn here. I think I was thinking of turning it into chaff for the clamp over there. And really, you know, unless we started a major dairy, we have lots and lots of feed, you know, for these animals. Previously, we didn't have any, so we just limped along, you know, with a little bit of grass. Let me take a little bit of fuel. We'll take advantage of our super duper long fuel hose as we head back out to the field. And I think I am gonna postpone, well, maybe I'll go get another trailer, but I need to get another tractor up here because I have some additional equipment needs now that we have silage to make down there. I need to compact it, and so I need to get some stuff which to do it. And that honestly is something, I know in Farm Sim 11, when I remember it, it took a long time to compact the silage, and it probably does in real life, so it probably is close to reality, I would assume. But I seem to recall that in later versions of the game, it's like they kind of sped up how long it would take to do the compaction. So let me see if we have a tractor just sitting on its can down here. Probably should have gotten out. Yeah, he's busy. Alright, we're gonna send you, my friend. So let's move the trailer over here to get it kind of out of the way. And then we're going to send him to the store. Biofuel to store. Alright, there we go. But you want to stop, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he doesn't tangle with any cars on the way up, or he's going to be landed on his keister. Okay. Now, let me get the spout up. While we're waiting for him, let's do a little bit of harvesting. Looks like he's kind of out of alignment, so I'm kind of curious to see if it saved the direction. So I'm going to try to... Oh, nope, it didn't do that. There we go. Cool. I'll try to steer around here for the sake of just a little realism at least. So I'm not smashing all of the corn just because he's on a higher circuit. Oh, except I'm not close enough. There we go. I gotta make sure I stay close enough to him so he can do what he needs to do. Looks like I got a hailstorm on the way. That's gonna kind of put a kibosh on the harvest. Got a little nook in the field down here. We'll watch our hero turn around on the rocks. Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh, I think I heard a train down there going. Now this stuff that we're harvesting here again is, okay, there's our tractor. Is going to be for the cattle. So we'll be hauling another trailer load up there. But you know, I wonder, I mean, we got so much feed here that if I were to chop all this, and maybe some of it I'll end up turning into biofuel, maybe some of it will be just out and out corn that I will sell at the market, you know, to make a little money. I like trying to use it on the farm when I can, but may not always be able to. Get him turned around. It'd be interesting to know how this is done in real life. You know, I know corn is planted in rows, but I don't know if that matters a whit. You know, when you're coming through and chopping it, I know when you're combining it, you have to line up all those rows, you know, so they fit. Get her out there. Alright, he kind of got around the bend. I'm going to turn him off. Let me get it. Yeah, he's enough off the road. So let me sneak over to tractor we just sent up to. There we go. Alright. Now, let's see what we need here. Let's have some silence while we shop. Okay, we're gonna need a few things in here. Oh, you know what? These are probably the trailers that I need to pull behind the forage harvester. You know, if I didn't want a tractor to haul separately, this is probably what I need, incidentally. But there are some other things in here that I want to look up. Did I have it up here? I had a compactor. Here we go, a BGA roller. I want to see how this does. We're going to need to put it on a tractor. So let's just get one of those. Let's see, are we kicking any errors? We got that physics trigger callback error. I don't know what the world that is. I think my system needs to be totally reinstalled. A conveyor belt. You know, I want to give this a try. BGA version. Let's see how this behaves. Yeah, we're just going to need to transport some things down there. Okay, no errors on that. There's going to be a trailer that we need. I think we have a trailer, so if we compact it with this, we'll see if we can pick it up here. Otherwise, if we're not able to pick it up with this and put it in a trailer, then we're going to need to purchase the much more expensive, well, we'll need this bucket, and we'll need the front loader. Now, we can afford this no problem. Personally, given the lack of dexterity in my fingers, I would prefer to simply use this this equipment up here, the conveyor belt. I seem to recall using it some time ago, been looking forward to using it again in here, and actually I've done a fair bit of modding on it so that it works with other fruits better. I know you can use it in the map, you know, to pick up piles. That's something we haven't done yet. So let's give... Alright, now where did it put it? Must be behind me. Alright, we'll take this on down. And I'm gonna just do a course here. That's kind of cool. At least it rolls. Probably kind of hard to back up. You know, this is a piece of equipment that once we get it down there, we will leave it there. So, you get up, get the 2 barrels. There's the second. Here we go. Alright. Tally-ho. Yeah, later versions of ArmSim, of course, we all know the roller was used to redo, I think it was in Farm Sim 17 where it started. If you wanted to trim the edges of a field, so that you could square it off, if you accidentally dropped the plow somewhere where you didn't intend, that you could fix it so that it would look like a normal field. I don't know why it is. In real life, there is no such thing as a very defined edge of a field. My word, is that 30 minutes already? I guess it is. Well, we'll get this down here. I wasn't able to do as much as I was hoping to this particular episode, but I'll get it down there at least. And you know what? I'm going to just cut through the field here because there's no crops in it. I know in Farm Sim 15, I modded the roller. I don't think a roller... Oh, stay on the road. I don't think a roller really has a purpose in Farm Sim 15. It behaves, maybe like a cultivator. It's whatever attribute you give it. I modded one so that it would crush rocks. If you pulled a rock out of the field, it would obliterate it. If it was a little one, which is exactly what happens in real life. And not that it obliterates it, but it will bury it. I should have been careful. I'm going to have to redo this course. I'm going to just redo it because I can't stay on the road as well as I would like. You know what? I'm just going to cut that down through here as well, since there's nothing in the field. This is definitely one of the huge improvements that came in later versions of Farming Sim, where there was more and more field operations that you could do, including with a roller. And they all have different purposes, and, I really appreciate that they... Oh, yeah, it's a good thing I'm not doing a course. I need to be a whole lot more careful. But I appreciate that they put that in there to make it more realistic, because I know in the older versions here, it was plow, cultivate, plant, and harvest. That pretty well was everything you could do to the ground. Alright, we have a barge hanging around out there. And maybe when I head home from here, I will record a course to get up to the store. Just never know. I don't know, I've just gotten in the habit of trying to create them when I have opportunity, when there's a reason to go from one place to another. So, here we go. Well, I guess we covered a few things with this particular episode, so thank you so much for coming along for the ride. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.